Hello again, YouTube family. Thanks for joining me on this video. And in this video, we're just discussing the unhinged right wing in this country, and they're getting more and more unhinged, particularly right now because Donald Trump is still not coming back as president, as they were all promised by their various conspiracy theory gurus. And we're getting close to a tipping point with some people. I mean, there's a lot of people on the right who are sounding more and more violent, who are sounding more and more like they're okay with violence to bring about what they want. But don't take my word for it. Listen to them for yourself.
And the people that support him are the Republican Party now. I think Donald Trump has a pretty good chance of being back in the White House.
I want to be here to support the president that supports all of us and works day in, day out tirelessly to make sure or to attempt to fix things in this country that are broken, and to have a voice, and a loud voice, for those of us that don't feel like.
What were your thoughts on the violent insurrection incited by Trump at the Capitol?
Oh my God, that's all such a lie. That was all the left.
Were you disappointed when Trump lost the election?
I was disappointed in the lack of truth and the election fraud that took place within it. And it's coming out right now in Arizona, and it's going to be a domino effect to the truth that's moving forward.
Unless I'm mistaken, this is the first forensic audit of a presidential election. Forensic. So we don't know.
Do you genuinely think there's a possibility that the election
that Trump could obtain the electoral slate of Arizona? Yes, I think that's a possibility. And if that happens, could it happen to Georgia? Possibly.
It was pre-organized by Antifa.
What did you think of what happened on the 6th?
On the 6th?
6th of January, the violent insurrection. What did you think of that?
That's what you guys call it, the insurrection?
What would you call it?
Well, I call it a movement by the communists to make it look like Trumpers did it. That's what I call it.
So many Trump supporters arrested at it.
Well, that's what you guys say. I don't believe that. You prove it to me.
I mean, there's all the indictments.
I mean, whatever you guys say, I don't believe any of it.
Right.
To tell you the truth.
These Trump supporters are in denial about what happened on January 6th, and some believe in QAnon.
What's going to happen at some point is there'll be arrests, and that'll include a lot of the line media, and then there'll be military tribunals.
Hasn't that been, they keep saying that for years, and
no,
it's not
it hasn't
happened.
been years. It hasn't been years.
It's been since 2017. It's been years
Believe
now.
me, we're taking it. This is a 6,000-year-old death cult.
Right.
You can't take it down that quick.
I understand you're a very passionate Trump supporter, right? But you surely can admit that the people who stormed the Capitol were Trump supporters.
No, I definitely cannot. In fact, you're talking to the right person, because I can send you tons of footage that shows that was all the left dressed up, the Antifa, the BLM, dressed up as Trump supporters.
Come on.
It is my hope that President Trump comes back as the 19th president of the United States under the 1776, and that he is inaugurated on March 4th. That is my hope for our future.
Some have bought into a new conspiracy theory that Trump will return as the 19th president on March 4th. Why? Well, they have misinterpreted an 1871 law and believe Ulysses S. Grant, who was inaugurated on March 4th, 1869, was America's last legitimate president. It may all sound bizarre, but online discussion about March 4th has been a contributing factor in the decision to keep the National Guard in Washington, D.C.
Are you going to feel foolish on March 5th when Biden's still president?
Then Trump has a different plan in play.
Everybody keeps saying Trump has a plan, he has a plan. When he lost the election, they said he has a plan, he's still going to say that.
Trump didn't lose the election, sir.
But he did.
Trump did not lose the election, and that's where we differ.
Right.
And that's where I believe the information that Mike Lindell has put out,
the pillow guy,
of all of the abuse, corruption, stealing.
So you trust a man? You trust a man more who sells pillows than the Republican officials in Georgia?
Oh, Absolutely.
But do you realize that sounds
Let me
crazy.
just tell you that the people in Georgia are sick.
And while most of the world looks on in horror at a deadly military coup in Myanmar, that's exactly what these Trump supporters hope to see happen here in the United States of America.
This whole thing with Biden is just, he's like a puppet president. The military is in charge. It's going to be like Myanmar, what's happening in Myanmar. The military is doing their own investigation, and at the right time, they're going to be restoring the republic with Trump as president.
What's going on in Myanmar right now? The government took over and they're redoing the election.
Would you like to see it happen?
Absolutely.
I would like to see it
Really?
happen. Yes.
You know why? Because the election was stolen from us.
I never would have believed CNN would have given me a chance to speak the truth.
No.
What a miracle. Praise God.
I mean, but we're going to say in our news report that QAnon is a conspiracy theory. You don't believe QAnon is a conspiracy theory.
Oh, I know it isn't. I know it isn't. I'm not much for believing. I have to know.
It should be that he can simply be reinstated, that a new inauguration date is set. And Biden is told to move out of the White House. And
Stay tuned for Arizona. It's going to be a very interesting time in our country. It's going to be a very interesting time. You understand what that means, because it will be, how do you govern when you lost?
Trump is still your president!
It's legal for them to count votes in Pennsylvania 2 days after the election on November 3rd?
Yes.
You're wrong. Go. I don't even want to talk to you.
I believe that Donald Trump won the election. I believe that they tried to steal the election.
Stop the Steal, a movement of Trump supporters that gained hundreds of thousands of followers online in the hours after the election, has inspired protests across the country.
The ballots that you said you saw are lying around the place or in trash cans or whatever. Where are you hearing that from?
I mean, the videos are going viral everywhere. I've seen them on TikTok. I've seen them on Facebook. I've seen them on Fox News. I've seen them on the local news around my area.
I've seen too much pieces of different evidence so far that shows that at this point I would be okay with a revote.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. When you have video footage of people taking bags of ballots and showing that they are for Donald Trump and lighting them on fire.
I helped write a fact check on CNN on that particular video. The election officials said that video has been going around for a few days. They are printout ballots. They're not real ballots.
So you use the information of the election officials.
Somebody like me comes along, tries to research it, tries to fact check it, and then I fact check it. You'll come back and say, well, the election officials would say that.
But wouldn't they, though? That's the thing, though. Question everything, right?
You are not going to steal this election from
The
us.
video actually showed sample ballots, not real ballots. The video's assertion is false, but even the president's son tweeted it to his millions of followers. Election officials in Virginia, where the sample ballots were from, told CNN they had spent days trying to correct the online misinformation.
When we went to bed on election night, when they told us they stopped counting, we woke up and there was a vertical spike right for Biden, 130,000 votes approximately. That's when I knew there was a problem.
It was a false election. And they took over, and that's what happened. The military took over.
That could possibly happen here, possibly. If the military is in control.
That's what they're working towards.
Would you think that's what could happen?
That's what I think.
Would you like to see it happen?
Absolutely.
I would like to see it
Really?
happen. Yes.
You know why? Because the election was stolen from us.
The military is doing their own investigation, and at the right time, they're going to be restoring the republic with Trump as president.
So there you heard it. From the Trump supporters themselves, that was a mishmash of videos from videos prior to the March 4th stuff where you had the... excuse me. You had the QAnon people saying that March 4th, or Donald Trump is going to be reinstated. But it didn't happen. Now you've got the QAnon people saying it's going to be in August. You got the My Pillow guy saying, Michael Lindell saying it's going to be in on April the 12th. Trump's going to be reinstated. to rational people, that sounds unhinged. You know, you look at someone saying that, and you say, what's the route they take? Ex-president takes to being reinstated, because, you know, explain to me constitutionally how that works, because it doesn't. There's two ways you become president. You get elected to be president, or the president dies or becomes incapacitated, and you're next in the line of succession. That's how you become president. So there is no method laid out to reinstate a former president. The only way a former president becomes reinstated is via a violent coup, in which you forcibly put the other former president back in charge. That's it. 29% of registered Republicans polled recently said they believe that Donald Trump will be reinstated before the end of this year. They're giving themselves that long for their delusions to play out in their head. The former national security advisor to Donald Trump, Michael Flynn, you know, the one who was going to go to prison, but then he got pardoned by Trump, said we need a military coup like what has happened in Myanmar. As you saw in that video, there are Trump supporters that are going to his rallies now who are saying we need a coup like what happened in Myanmar. They may not know how to pronounce Myanmar, but Myanmar, I think one of the girls in there said Miramar, which is not Myanmar. But whether they can pronounce the word or not, they know what they're talking about. They're talking about a military coup, and they support it. I mean, we are talking about the group of people from which the January 6th rioters who broke into the U.S. Capitol building, some of whom were chanting "Hang Mike Pence," people who are running around with zip ties to capture Democrat lawmakers in the Capitol building. We're talking about the group they came from. I mean, this is the broader pool that those who actually infiltrated the Capitol building on January 6th come from. I mean, we are getting to a scary point with these crazy right-wingers because their delusions are getting more radical, and it's dangerous for all of us. And we've got to quash it. It's as simple as that. You have this massive movement now of people who are elevating Ashley Babbitt. Ashley Babbitt was the former Air Force woman who got shot and died while trying to crawl through a broken out window in a section of the Capitol. Where that door was at, and if you go back and look at that video, you'll see there was a mixture of, it looked like to me, a mixture of Capitol Police and Secret Service agents who were taking cover by doorways down that hallway. That hallway those people were trying to access is called, I believe it's the Speaker's Alley. That hallway leads to Congress. Behind those armed men with their guns out on that day was Congress, where the Capitol Police were trying to evacuate members of Congress. Behind those armed men, members of Congress were being evacuated from the building. That's why you had armed men guarding that hallway. People were trying, that mob was trying to break through the door. The windows got busted out in the door, and Ashley Babbitt started crawling through the open window to access the hallway. Got shot. I believe she was shot in the shoulder, but she ended up bleeding out and dying. And now you've got this massive mood on people saying, we didn't know who shot her. You absolutely don't. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. And the thing is, all those people who are saying there needs to be accountability for Ashley Babbitt, if she was a black woman with Black Lives Matter protesting, trying to crawl through that doorway, they would be vilifying her. Same scenario, except that instead of being white with a bunch of right-wing goofballs, if she was black in a Black Lives Matter rally where people ended up busting into the Capitol, you would have these same people defending her being killed, saying they should all should have been killed. I mean, that's the insanity of this. And so you have this weird situation where you have people saying, oh, it wasn't Trump supporters that broke into the Capitol. It was Antifa. It was communists. It was socialists disguised as Trump supporters who broke into the Capitol. And on the other hand, you're defending them and you're lifting them up as heroes and champions because they broke into the Capitol to try and stop the election from being stolen from you. It's a weird juxtaposition they're playing where they're trying to play both sides and say it wasn't us, but it was us, and we're happy for those people because they were patriots. And as far as Ashley Babbitt, she did her service. That's fine. She deserves credit for having done service for this country. Unfortunately, in the end, she decided that she was going to do the worst thing imaginable and crawl through a broken-out window in the Capitol building after she, along with a massive mob, broke into the Capitol. But I mean, this is the links they are going on the right, the unhinged links they're going to, where their minds are shot. They don't even make logical sense. Things don't even happen. I mean, normally human beings think very narratively. That's the way we think. They're not even thinking narratively because what they're saying makes no sense. Because they will say all at once that it wasn't them that broke into the Capitol, and the ones who broke into the Capitol are heroes and patriots because they were trying to stop the election from being stolen. They're delusional, and they're getting more so. I mean, now you've got people like Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, who I assume we're going to see in Congress before too long. Let's face it. These people you saw in that video vote. That's why we have Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's why we have Matt Gaetz. That's why we have Jim Jordan. That's why we have Boebert. That's why we have Ted Cruz. That's why we have all these nut jobs on the right in Congress, because the people you are watching those videos vote. That's why we had Donald Trump as president. That's why if we didn't come out in full force and vote in the last election in 2020, we would have had Donald Trump again. We were not that far from having Donald Trump for 4 more years. We were about 50 to 70,000 votes across 4 to 5 states from having Donald Trump in office again. That's how close it was. Because those people will show up and vote. The reason why we have 2 Democrat senators in Georgia is because Donald Trump told the people in Georgia that they shouldn't trust the elections in Georgia. They shouldn't trust the governor. They shouldn't trust the Secretary of State because those guys cheated for the Democrats. For whatever reason they would do that, because all of the Republican leadership in Georgia are very goofy right-wing themselves. And they are now working very hard on trying to change voting laws to help themselves, because what they care about is what every other Republican cares about, themselves. And, part of this delusion is you have the white fragility. You have these weak-minded white people who are afraid they're losing the majority in this country and that it's going to be bad for them. They won't get as much privilege if they lose the majority. You have some racist white people, I'm sure, who are afraid that minorities are going to become a majority in this country, that white people will be a minority and will get treated the way they used to treat minorities. And so you have this fear causing people to want to hold on to power, to keep things from going bad for them. And as we are starting to see in polls, more and more of them are saying they're willing to go to violence. They're willing to reach violent ends to achieve what they're wanting to achieve. So this is bad. It's getting worse. Biden seems to be ignoring it. Our current administration seems to be ignoring it for the most part, because Biden has this delusion himself, thinking the fever is going to break. The Republicans are going to come back to normal. No, they've been moving this direction for years. They didn't get here overnight. They didn't get here in the 4 years Trump was in office. They got here from years and years of the right-wing media, places like Fox News, like Newsmax, like ONN, like Breitbart. People like Steven Crowder, people like Ben Shapiro have pushed these people this far right to where they are completely a cult of personality. That's it. They don't care about legislation. They don't care about governance. The Republican Party no longer cares about governance. They don't care about legislation. The only thing Republicans care about legislation is stopping legislation from happening, unless it's tax cuts that benefit the wealthiest people in the country and corporations. Then they're okay with it. But we're moving to a dangerous precipice, and folks like Mike Lindell putting out a date, August 12th, Trump's going to be reinstated. Well, I can tell the Trump supporters right now, the people following Mike Lindell right now, it cannot happen. Barring a coup, there is no legitimate constitutional way to reinstate a former president. That does not exist within the confines of our laws. It doesn't exist. There is no such a thing. You become president by getting elected or by being next in the line of succession when the president dies or becomes incapacitated. That's it. Donald Trump is not getting reelected this year because there is no presidential election this year, and he's not in the line of succession. He could be 21st in the line of succession. It doesn't matter. He's not becoming president, but he's not even there. He's not in that line of succession. And so I can tell the people that are listening to Mike Lindell, don't get your hopes, don't listen to this guy. Don't let him build you up into those conspiracy theories, thinking something is going to happen that cannot happen. And honestly, Donald Trump is not getting reinstalled as president via a coup. If you tried to execute a coup in this country, it would be tamped down by the military, and it would be bloody. It would be horrible. And that is absolutely not what any of us want to see. I can say I believe those people are unhinged. I can say I believe some of them have mental issues. They have to be able to believe this stuff. I mean, I noticed the one woman that was, the whole time she was sitting there being interviewed by the CNN guy, she was holding up the book she was selling. So at least she had the presence of mind to know that, well, I'm going to be on TV. I might as well hold up my book so some people Google it and go out and buy it. And for some of them, like her, that woman, it sounds like she's a QAnon person. She could be one of the QAnon people who are profiting off of it. And so what she's doing is perpetuating this BS lie for financial gain. I understand that. It's wrong to me. That's an unethical way of making money. Because it's causing some people to get dangerously unhinged. And that's where we're at right now. Sorry, no happy news there, but we have to look at the dangers that face us, and this is one of them. The right wing is getting more and more cluelessly unhinged and looking at violent means as a way of getting there. You have people like Mike Flynn who are perpetuating it. Mike Flynn should have been arrested for saying that. I mean, he was advocating a violent coup against this country. How is that not sedition? How is that not being a traitor to the country? But that's where we're at. And it's getting worse. If you've got right-wing friends, try to talk them down off the ledge. Anyways, thanks for joining. If you like the videos, please give me a like. If you've not subscribed already, feel free to hit the subscribe button before you leave. And by all means, have a good day.